Davida.
And we're the two Pilates Chicks in our studio in Los Angeles. It is season 6, episode 11.
Yes.
That is correct. And it's different apparatus, different conversations.
What does that mean?
I don't know. What could we possibly mean by that? And we kind of came up with this actually last week when we were together in the studio, because we were seeing a lot on social media, a lot of questions from teachers that had maybe been trained where things were in blocks or modules, or not understanding that the system of Pilates,
that it is a system.
Yeah. There we go. That it is a system. And not that that's like we're going, oh, yeah, how can you not know? But if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
If you haven't been exposed to it, you haven't been exposed to it.
It's not taught that way in every teacher training program, which is fine. But all the stuff within Pilates does connect. That's why it's all in Pilates. It's all, there are concepts and things that connect through all the different apparatus.
Yeah. So we kind of wanted to chat on it and kind of go through different thought processes of the system of Pilates.
And the interesting thing that we were talking about the last week when we thought of this topic was that we're talking both about how all the apparatus and the exercises connect through the system with common threads and similar shapes that get repeated. But then we're also talking about how there's uniqueness and individuality on each piece of apparatus, and that an exercise on one apparatus that's repeated somewhere else is not necessarily the same thing.
Yeah. And it's a total, even though it's called the same and it looks the same in terms of the expression of the exercise, it's a different concept of everything.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that. But you had a fun quote that we kind of thought
we thought it was an interesting way to describe it by saying we're highlighting both the individuality and the unity of the system.
Yeah.
So that's like what we just mentioned, how there's uniquenesses and similarities throughout all of it. And you can talk about how there's uniquenesses for each client on different apparatuses, and every place you place them, they'll be slightly different depending on what you're doing and how you're working with them. And then the exercises on the different apparatus as well has unique functions and qualities.
Yeah. And if we were talking about, let's just start with like the system, and we were both taught, because when we went through teacher training, it was the only way you learned.
Yeah.
It was fully comprehensive, learning about all the apparatus, how they were like gone, how they went together, why they went together.
Yeah, there was no mat training only
reformer
fitness.
Yeah.
So it was really at a time that you learned Pilates. If you were doing a teacher training program, you were learning Pilates. It was a comprehensive program.
Fully comprehensive. And so if you think about it as a system and you think about Pilates, you have a few shapes that are repeated in the work. Mm-hmm. And that's really it. I mean, there's just a few shapes that just in different ways, different orientations to gravity. They all connect. They feed into other exercises.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the simplest thing about the system is like you've got your rolling backs but then you've got that showing up again here and here and here and here.
I mean, just in the beginning of the mat, you have the same shape repeated many times, but in different orientations.
Ways. Yeah.
So you have your roll.
In different ways of getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's always so interesting. I find it fascinating. So
our minds are going.
You roll over and your roll up.
Which
you roll over. You're a ball.
Yeah, you're all upside. It's like now I'm upside down doing my roll up, and now. Yeah.
And I wonder if people think about that. Like, okay, so your roll up, you're coming up. Mm-hmm. Your roll over is the same, but starting from
upside down.
The opposite.
Yeah, it's the opposite end going. Yeah, and it's like you're rolling back, your rocker. Your spine stretch, it's all kind of like, now we're seeing the end of the roll up with the legs apart.
Yeah. Versus
all the way back with the legs straight and they're together. Yeah. So it's interesting if you think about the system and how it's connected, and then you're watching the client and you're realizing this whole different orientation to gravity. Then you get them on the apparatus, then they add this spring. It's giving this different feedback to the client. You're just sitting back going, oh, interesting that they're moving that way, or we need to kind of figure this out, or how is that affecting, now they're upside down?
Yeah. Like it worked over here.
Why is it not working here?
Why not in this direction?
Yeah.
And seeing what...
Now they're on their knees and everything just went haywire.
Yeah.
Like,
so
what happened?
What's missing there? What's needed to be worked on?
Yeah. So it's like, I like to say it's detective work. The system is just constantly figuring things out as you move through these different orientations and different springs coming from different angles.
I mean, it makes everything make a whole lot more sense when you think about it that way, to bring a client through this system versus just like miscellaneous exercises being thrown at them. Because if I'm saying like, oh, we're going to go do sit-ups, now we're going to go do push-ups, and it's like, okay, well, those are different.
Totally different.
Completely different positions. But if I'm saying, okay, we're going to work on the roll up, and then, oh, I'm noticing this or that. So, okay, now let's see in the roll over where the legs can be. And like, oh, so that's not working here for whatever reason. So let's come over here and try whatever. And it helps guide the teacher through the system to help bring the client along with them.
Yeah. And I like what you said, because it's like, if you're thinking about the feedback to the client and what you're seeing, and a lot of times we're just having them move and we're not telling them, oh, your legs are going wonky off this way. We need to fix that. But they start to like, and it brought me to the point of what you said about practice. We practice Pilates and our clients are practicing, is they start to go and understand the system. So then they go, oh, I feel like I'm going off in this. Why am I going off in this? How do I figure out how to not go off? So they start to kind of figure out what they need to do.
Yeah. Well, they start noticing, right? Because we're helping them learn their bodies, learn what they need, feel it, like this embodied learning. And so with that, like, we're not just there telling them stuff, but they're learning it themselves and feeling it and finding it. And then maybe we're helping guide them, and the system is help guiding us.
Yes. And like when we talk about, you just said, we're going to do push-ups, we're going to do this and sit-ups and this, and then just not throwing exercises willy-nilly. But if you think of the system and they're practicing, then every time they come in, they are getting more connected, they are getting stronger, and they are getting better. And then they're feeling and seeing that as well.
Yeah.
Even though they're doing the same exercise they did last week.
Right.
But they're like, oh, okay, I remember this and I can get through. And then they start to get this flow into the system where it all connects for them too, and into their body, where their body starts to go like an orchestra, kind of like
works together.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, often you can say, like, well, the longer you do Pilates, both the harder and easier it gets.
Yeah.
Because
Both,
because you know how to work it more, so you're more connected, and so you're deeper in the exercise, so it's kind of harder, but it's also kind of easier because you can flow through it and you understand it more.
Yeah, and you've got the choreography, so you've got that, it's understood. But yeah, you're able to dig deeper.
Harder.
You can work harder.
Yeah.
It's like I always laugh when it's like usually around the 10th session, which is what he said for figuring things out. It takes like 10 sessions. But they'll be like, well, why is this not getting easier? It seems to be getting harder. And it's like, because you're getting deeper into it. Yeah.
Because like something like footwork on the reformer is so, you can do it so simply.
Yeah, people are like, blah, blah,
but if
blah,
you
blah.
actually know what you're doing, it's actually really hard.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's the whole thing about if we talk about the system taking footwork, it's not just, your toes are here and we're working our feet. It is that full body feeding into the spring, and the spring going, oh, this is not here, this is not even, this needs to lengthen, you need to like, and if you look at it that way, and then the client's like, oh my gosh, then it becomes like, holy cow.
It's a totally different conversation. And with the footwork, like, not having it be it's not just about the feet. So it's the full system. Not only are we saying like Pilates in itself is a full system, but it's all full body.
Full body.
Just a full body system. And when I do footwork, I'm not feeling my feet. I'm feeling my whole
full body. Yeah. It's like, And then by the time you get through all of them, you're just like, oh my gosh.
But the working against the springs and connecting to the full body is the whole idea of the different apparatus being different within that same system.
Yeah.
And so depending on your body axis and orientation to gravity and the feedback into the spring and the different type of spring on the different apparatus giving you a different trajectory of feedback and how you're working against it, is all the difference. But then you're repeating these similar shapes throughout.
Yeah. But that brings up a good point, too, about the different apparatus. And we were talking about how the cueing needs to be different.
Yeah.
When it comes to changing with the apparatus, because the reason for that apparatus or that exercise in the spring and where it is unique.
Yeah.
So your cueing is going to gear towards that as well.
That spring. Yeah.
Yeah, because the client's like, well, I did this over there. And you're like, but this is different.
It's a different exercise.
Totally different.
Even if it has the same name.
Yeah.
So, like, teaser.
Teaser. Like, if you take teaser on the mat and then they're over there on the Cadillac.
So we have teaser, mat, reformer, Cadillac,
Wonder chair. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, and then they're doing teaser and they're like, well, I don't understand. This is, well, what I hear about a lot, and we should preface by saying we're not fixing teaser by doing another teaser.
Right.
We're not going to fix teaser and teaser. But when they go over to let's take the Cadillac, and let's say they're not in the system, they're not there yet, they don't understand. They're just like, well, this is easy.
For the teaser with the bar.
Yeah. Yeah. They're like, oh, yeah. And they're just riding it up and down, right? Just riding it up and down.
It's
You're
easy
like,
here.
Okay, but what if... And you were talking about the one on the Cadillac when we were talking about this episode.
Yeah.
And what you were saying about the arms.
Yeah. Like, so the teaser on the Cadillac, what I always think of is the most important thing for doing it there is continuing to press the bar up as you lower. That opposition and that reach of the arms, I think, is the most important thing in the teaser position
on the
Cadillac. But then if you go into teaser on the box, on the reformer, you're still trying to find a reach, but it's a completely different arm reach.
Well, and also you're coming from, like we talked about, a full extension moment into that flexion, being pulled backwards by the...
Yeah, you're fighting against the spring.
Yeah.
And even on the return there, continuing to have to reach the arms as you're returning back.
And so it's kind of like what we're saying, and if you think of it in a system, and let's take teaser on the box, is you're not seeing if they can do teaser on the box. Mm-hmm. I did a little air quotes. Did you like that? Even though it's called teaser on the box. Is you're seeing what movement isn't happening because now their arms are connected here. They're coming from here to here and finding a balance point. So what's getting lost? Because...
Could be a whole number of things. Yeah, I mean, it's different for everybody. Like, thinking about one client that I was giving teaser on the box to today, that I mentioned to you earlier. Yeah. Like, she's in her early 60s. She's super athletic, super strong. She was a gymnast for a long time, very mobile, very capable. But teaser on the box is super hard for her. She has a little bit of a tightness in the low back, but it's really like she can get to that position. Like, she can do the shape of a teaser. But on the box, the movement up to and return from that shape
is the
challenge. And that is the arm connection for her and finding her balance point where the pelvis needs to be. Mm-hmm. So those points we work in other ways. Because she's tried to do teaser on the box for I don't know how many years now, and it just doesn't quite connect in her body. And it's these other things that we need to find.
Yeah. And that's the key, I think, of the system. It's like when you're having that moment with her, you're like, oh, this is what's missing in this movement. Mm-hmm. So we're going to find it in a different way, in a different environment. And then maybe eventually when we come here someday, it will
build
connect.
up. Yeah.
Or that moment of a teaser that someone's done it a million times on the box. Mm-hmm. And so one day they go up and, oh, where did the legs just go? Oh, they went off to one side.
Swing out.
Woo! So then you're like, okay, that's what the system's going to help us figure out today is how to get, but you're not going to then take them to another teaser somewhere.
Yeah.
Because their teaser there was doing something wrong. You're going to figure out, how do I get this person to have that symmetry or not that rotation that's taking them off to one side.
Yeah. And so, like, what are those building blocks and concepts that person's body is missing today? And what are the building blocks that we can use in other exercises that'll kind of like gear up for that goal?
Yeah. And I think it'd be like, we just had your workout. And it was, as I was watching everything, we start on the reformer and everything's going well. We're like, woo, yeah, everything feels good.
Felt flowy and centered.
Everything's good. We got to climb a tree.
And that was the one
That was the one thing.
My tree leg. Woo.
Woo. And so it's like, woo, okay. And then that's set us off into the whole move into the Cadillac and doing some things on the Cadillac, coming to the Wonder Chair, going to the Wonder Chair, and then trying to get that symmetry and that connection. Mm-hmm. And then back to the reformer, pulling it all together.
Yeah. And by, like, when we first went into tree, and I remember
it was the right leg that was up.
The right leg, and it, like, swung through, which is more
it went across the midline.
And that's more of my habit on that side. But I also felt like a tight low back on that right side.
Which, of course, I didn't know. Cause she's not verbally telling me this. But I'm seeing the leg.
You're seeing it.
But I'm not knowing about the back.
Yeah.
Because I'm not in your body.
But that's where, like, the body's pulling.
And actually, you didn't say that till the very end.
Yeah. I didn't even mention it.
You didn't mention.
Yeah. So then when we went through all these other things, like by the time we get through back to the end point, like I feel much more centered. I feel like my leg scissoring a lot more available. I feel the openness through the low back. So everything just kind of reset by going through the full system and connecting across the different apparatus.
Yeah. And different orientations of your body to spring. And that's those movement patterns we're trying to figure out in terms of that person in that moment in that body.
And like using my workout for an example, like we weren't just working on tree for the whole hour. Like we worked on tree while we were doing it.
Yeah, and then we didn't do it again.
And we didn't do it again. And so we went to, side leg springs. We went to the chair to do long leg press, single leg.
We did chest lift. And then I made you do one arm.
Yeah, I hate that one. And then, and even
frog lying
down and side.
One arm push down.
One arm push down.
If y'all don't know these, please DM us and we'll be happy to tell you.
Because everyone uses different names for everything.
Yeah.
And so all of these things that were like single-sided, but then also double-sided, but with maybe arms connected. And
hips
then maybe
connected.
Hips connected, maybe one leg connected to something.
On one side. You were doing it on one side. So you're in all these different, I'm trying to think,
all these different orientations on the different apparatus with different types of spring, with, different body orientations to gravity. And by the end, all of that added up to work on, I don't want to say fix the thing, but
to get more awareness.
Yeah, and to find that centering and that symmetry that we were trying to find.
Yeah.
And that's really the goal. So by the end, you feel better, you feel more centered.
And what's funny is we had a student observing us as we were doing this, and her classes they're going into their 7th month. And so they haven't started teaching yet. She hasn't started teaching because she hurt her wrist, so she's been
still has to practice in
still has to practice. But we asked her, what do you feel we were working on? And she said symmetry, which was exactly what we were working on.
And we were all like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's 100%. Exactly 100% what we were working on. Because like you said, we can't fix what your leg is doing. We can't fix the back being the way it is. We can't fix this, but we can try to get as much symmetry in that moment. And the same thing with a client. And
going through the system and finding the different parts throughout the different apparatus.
Yeah. And I think that, I think I go back to where I taught, I had a client that came from a studio that wasn't how I taught. And so she came in, and we'd been working together, I guess, 4 months. And she said, I'm starting to see how much stronger I'm getting. And I've never seen that before. But it was because she was doing the system. So a lot of a lot of the times when she came in, we did the 100, we did it. So it was this, and she started to understand the flow. But so she was able to go, well, I used to not be able to get to this point. I used to not be able to be in this position, or I feel stronger. So by her using the system, she in her own body was able to go, oh, I am stronger. I do feel stronger. And I feel I'm moving better in this way.
Yeah. And that was making me think of, if you're not teaching Pilates through the system, and I'm not saying like it has to be classical or traditional or whatever,
no.
But if you're not using the connection points of the whole system, I think that's where people tend to think like, oh, you can only get stronger if you add more load. And so people
adding the weights or adding.
We're like, oh, I have to have ankle weights to get stronger. I have to have more spring for this exercise to get stronger.
That makes sense, yeah.
And that's not necessarily true. I think once I started using the system in my own practice more consistently throughout, instead of like just doing like the series of 5 on the mat or whatever, that using the whole system, I got much stronger in my own practice. And from feeling it in my own body, that embodied understanding of the system then helps understand how to use it all as a whole for clients.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what one of the students today was saying. She's getting ready to test out. She said that for her, in her own practice, it took almost a year for her to like go, oh, okay, oh, and get the connections and understanding. And then when she was teaching and getting into her teaching, she realized, wait a minute, now it's a different thought process of the system. I have to apply it to this person, different body, different whatever. So then it took like a whole nother learning curve to figure that out in the teaching world.
Yeah, because it's quite different to work through it yourself. And I think having the embodied knowledge of it helps you understand how to apply it to others, because you feel it. You feel the connection.
Yeah, and you can kind of generally know if they have this issue, this might be, this might not, or this isn't going to work because of this.
You can like tell how it might feel, but then you have to hone the skills of watching the person, that observation of how it's working in their body, to assess how it might be feeling for them and how it's working. And that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
That's a lifelong practice.
It is a lifelong practice. And I think that's what makes it also, if you think about using Pilates as a system, and we've kind of run into this with teachers when they get into that 5-6 year mark, if they're not, then feeling kind of lost. But I feel like if you understand and kind of view it as this, then you don't feel lost, because you've got this kind of foundation of knowing the apparatus for this and knowing the shapes and knowing how to work through it. So you're like, okay, I know where I can try to go.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm just thinking like that's for the like teacher training programs that don't teach it like that. And maybe they do teach comprehensively in terms of they're teaching the students exercises on all the different apparatus, but they're not teaching the thread of what connects everything, or what might, like, why you might use this, what's the point of the concepts of this. Yeah. So you just do maybe like a quick teacher training to just learn the exercises as the choreography. That's where a lot of people end up finding that missing point at that 5-year mark, when you're like, okay, I'm still just teaching this exercise, this exercise, this exercise. And it's like you can't find where they connect and how to bring your clients along with you.
And I think that's the key, is like we want the clients to come along with us, because once they have that mindset, I mean, they're our client forever. It's like, because they understand it's not just this quick fix, right? It's this journey of movement and working, and they see and understand that.
Actually, one of my clients recently said, this is someone I've taught maybe 5 years now. I love teaching her. And she, just the other day, she was like, yeah, it's like Pilates is an art. And she like said something like that. It's like,
it is.
And that's why it's really the art and science of movement is Pilates. And it's a practice. And that's why we keep calling it a practice.
It's a practice. We're always a student.
It's a
We're always
continuous
learning.
practice. And so having it be like thinking of it in the system, it really helps you move through that practice and find the art side of it as well.
Definitely. And I think even if you have clients that you get them to understand this system, they're never going to get bored either.
Right.
Because they're in it in this way of thinking of like, oh, it's like when you go to something at the end with them and you're like, oh, you remember when we did this over here? We'll say push through round back. And they're like, and I'm like, here we are again. So find that connection here. Yeah. And they're like, oh, yeah. Oh, and then they're like, for them, it's like this, wow, this is so cool.
And I think it's super cool. Like when I'm working with somebody in a session and really working on like a certain concept and we like do one exercise over here and then do something else over there. And then, you find that connection between the two. And you're like, isn't that cool? And
they're
like,
like,
yeah,
that's cool. It is. And I think, and we're not talking about this to say, oh, if you don't know, it's the system, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, it's something if you don't understand it or weren't taught that, to kind of look into, because it is a really amazing way to teach, and it is what he created in terms of, the thought process.
Yeah.
And all this apparatus was created for a reason that he saw in a client or clients. Yeah.
And and you can teach any style, quote unquote, of Pilates as the system if you understand the concepts of how to do certain shapes and those certain body shapes that are repeated throughout. Like you can do it in whatever way works for you as a teacher and your individual clients. Yeah. Like I don't follow the traditional order in most of my sessions with people, but I come from like a dance side of things, and so I'm coming from a different path. But if you understand the system, or even if you just think about the system and be like, how do these exercises connect? Like, why is this all Pilates? Yeah. Like, what makes this type of movement what we would call Pilates versus your doing burpees on the street? Like, what's the difference?
Well, and even like understanding the system, and you and I both have clients, and we'll throw more functional training into it, or even if you're doing like, we have clients that have had knee issues or whatever, and like they've gone through rehab and maybe they're doing their wall squats or they're getting to this point, but taking the Pilates kind of thought process and putting it into these moments with the client, even though it's not Pilates they're
per se,
doing,
like
the concepts are there. It's like, oh, remember on this, here we are again, here we're going to do, and we're going to imagine this, and they're like, oh yeah, okay.
So it connects, because I use a lot of functional training, especially in my rehab clients that get referred to me, and so that, but it's still within the realm and thought process of Pilates. And it makes sense to the client and to their body. Yeah. Just to talk about it like that.
Yeah, and I think we've seen it a lot when we get clients that have come from PT and they've been doing, well, we'll just throw shoulder bridge out there because that's a classic. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, let's get the concepts of Pilates back into this moment. And then it's a different environment of the shoulder bridge.
I mean, because we often will have clients come in and they've been doing shoulder bridges to strengthen the glutes for, let's say, knee pain or back pain or hips.
Or anything.
Everything. It's used for a lot. And so then if you then cue them in the Pilates aspect where you're like, okay, well now let's like press into the arms, find some chest expansion, like pull your feet under you as you're lifting, like whatever is needed. It's bending full body. So that brings the same movement with the same outcome of hip mobility and full body strength. You're bringing it back into the Pilates system. So it's really versatile, and you can use it in any way.
Yeah. It's like, hello, it's brilliant. It's an art.
It's an art.
It's an art. Well, I think that was good. Yeah, and hopefully we weren't preachy. I don't think we were. We're chatting. But on that note, in chatting, we, you actually came up with, we're starting a little, like, mini-series.
Podcast mini-series.
So little offshoots every once in a while where we actually talk to other people. and I'm so excited. Our first one's going to be Kevin Bowen.
Yeah.
So we're chatting with him next week, so it'll probably be after that.
Yeah.
And we'll probably break it in, have a couple of little
segments.
And
we have our fall workshop coming up in September.
It's the 13th, I think, that Saturday.
That sounds right.
Yeah, 10 to 2 here in LA, but it's also virtual if you want to do that. And
we're going over the archival exercises.
And kind of along the same line here is going through the archival, but kind of looking at the system again. Like, let's take wrestling bridge. Like, how many people are you going to teach wrestling bridge to? Probably not a lot.
Not many.
But can we break it down? What are the concepts here? How is it in the system? Where can you find it elsewhere for these moments?
Yeah.
And maybe you get to one part or this, or just finding
just get
something.
to the setup.
Yeah,
maybe
so we're going to go.
You do.
Yeah, so we're going through the archive, including flying squirrel, wrestling bridge, high bridge on the reformer. Yeah, tons of fun. Yeah, tons of fun. But you can book on our website, and that's up already. What else was I gonna say? Oh, and then we're getting back to our YouTube channel a little bit, so you can watch us online on YouTube, and then we're just gonna do little exercisey things too.
Yeah,
we tried our first one. We'll see how it goes. We don't know. We're still figuring that out. But yeah, is that it? That's all we got.
I think that's it.
Yeah, and follow us on Instagram, obviously YouTube.
Yeah,
you can check us out on YouTube.
Anywhere and everywhere.
And hopefully we'll see you in September for our workshop.
Yay!
Yay! Bye!